I don't know if I would be able to cope and continue to work in my business and give you guys content if I had not found a solution to this problem that I actually wasn't even aware was a real problem. Whew. I just put the baby down for a nap in his own bed. I've got to tell you about the podcast interview that changed my life. That seems dramatic. Whatever. I'm serious though. Okay, so in case you didn't know, I recently started a podcast. And one of the guests that I had on was named Sarah, actually Dr. Sarah Mitchell. And she's a chiropractor, but also is an infant sleep coach. And that's what she's doing now. It was so cool. After she shared her personal breastfeeding experience, I got to pick her brain about infant sleep. It was so cool. I'll definitely put the link in the description for you so you can listen. But as she's talking about, a lot of the common things that parents do and, some of the mistakes we might make, how we're kind of making things harder for ourselves, I was like, yeah, I'm most parents. That's me. So after we had our podcast interview, which was awesome, I'm like, Sarah, I need your help. So here's what happened. I'm sure that the word sleep training, that's the second air quotes of the video. So this is going someplace good. Give you the same kind of knots in your stomach that they do me. Like, I dread sleep training. I have a few different hesitations with doing that. And those are all in a video over on Sarah's channel, which you can go check out. Talk a little bit more about that. But I don't like sleep training. It's like the bane of my existence. And it's, no one's letting their baby cry alone for hours and hours. Like, I hope so. I hope not anyway. But you just kind of expect like some tears and some long nights, and it's just not fun. And we kind of, helped our children to sleep on their own when they were about 8-9 months. And that was kind of when we had decided that they were old enough to sleep through the night without breastfeeding. So for me, I kind of just thought that you had to wait until then. And then you picked whatever sleep training method felt the least bad. And then you do that. And then you move on. So it worked okay. I mean, parenting, there's no manual for this crap. And why are we always asking new parents, like, is your baby like sleeping through the night? Oh my gosh, that's the third one. You guys, somebody stop me. What is even sleeping through the night? Like, babies are meant to wake up and breastfeed. This is a breastfeeding channel, so that's kind of where we're going with that. But, I don't know. I just was all sorts of confused. So what I learned from Sarah is that you can help your child develop healthy sleep habits from a very young age, which is super cool to me. And she also was really focused and protective of the breastfeeding relationship, which is super important to me, not only as a breastfeeding mother, but as an IBCLC who's helping women breastfeeding and, doing those things. It's important that, feeding your baby is the most important, right? Sleep is also important, but you got to nourish and help your baby grow. So I really liked that she helped combine those two and made it work. My little guy was 5 months old when we worked with Sarah and tried this. And the cool thing is that she actually came out with a book just a couple of weeks ago. So as I tell you this story and how she personally helped us, everything that she told us to do is in her new book. So cool. Oh, wait. Check this out. I bought it and everything she talked with us about and told us to do is in here. So freaking cool, okay? I have read sleep books before, and I love Sarah, and I love her method, and you can start it very early, which I think is cool. She actually doesn't use the term sleep training. It's more like sleep teaching or, developing a sleep flow. It's really cool. It's not that crunchy. But I did like the way that she didn't have a schedule, or a set routine that this is how it's supposed to look. It was like, let's kind of get them sleeping on their own, and then we'll just help you into developing your flow and whatever that looks like for your lifestyle, and which I thought was really cool. Another thing that I loved about some of the things I learned from Sarah was that she was very non-judgmental about where we were at. So to be honest, we were co-sleeping, and we had done that from day one. And I know what the Academy of American Pediatrics says about co-sleeping. I'll put that link below for you. We practiced all the safe co-sleeping things that we could find, but I needed sleep. And as a third-time mom, I was very comfortable having a baby. And once we kind of got feeding down, I just had him in the bed with me, and he could eat at night. I could sleep, and we did it as safely as possible. I never felt like we were in an unsafe situation, but we weren't co-sleeping because I love co-sleeping or wanted to do that. It was more out of I have to sleep. I have 2 other kids, and this is just how we're going to function. Sarah was really great about not shaming me for that. So I really appreciated that. And she kind of just said, it's fine to do what works for you. And if it's no longer working, then that's the point that you get some help. And I love that. Actually, we say those kind of words on my podcast a lot. Some of the most common things I hear moms tell other moms is like, just do what works for you. And then when it's no longer working, pivot. But what I did with Sarah that helped me get my baby out of my bed and sleeping on his own was this. I think this was the most important thing that I kind of learned from her. And that was separating breastfeeding and sleeping. Up until that point, he had only been napping in someone's arms or being bounced in a floor bouncer. Usually my husband played his guitar and sang him to sleep while he's bouncing him. One of us had to be bouncing him. Thankfully, with COVID, he was home from work and helping me because we have 2 other kids. And so one person was doing the 2 kids and one person was doing the baby, either holding them or him trying to get him to nap. I was feeding him. He'd fall asleep at the breast a lot, which my other babies did too. And it was never a problem. I don't even know where my other babies napped. It's surprising how quickly you forget the details like that. Anyway, we were exhausted, and I knew that this was not sustainable, but I had no clue what to do. So Sarah helped me separate breastfeeding and sleep, which I thought was really an interesting idea. So we kind of spaced out his feedings a little bit, and we put him to sleep, not drowsy but awake, because that's not Sarah's, method at all. You don't want to have to be able to calm them on the brink of sleep and then put them down and then walk away. You're going to have to do that every time you want them to sleep. And I have a life, I have stuff to do. So the goal really was to help him learn how to self-soothe and fall asleep on his own and disassociate that from breastfeeding. I was actually shocked at how quickly he picked up on that. There was not a lot of tears. Sarah had a few different suggestions on how we could approach this, how comfortable we were with letting him be alone. And every baby's different, This baby of mine is the first one that he likes to suck his fingers. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you've seen some pictures there. My other 2 did not do that. So I knew that he would probably self-soothe pretty well since he could find his fingers. And he was just starting to roll over. So once he could get on his stomach, his fingers were really easy because they were there. So it was a pretty quick process, to be honest. And I was shocked at the freedom that I felt because no longer was his sleep dependent on the breast. And so I remember we started this on a Friday, did the weekend, and it was going pretty well. And into the next week, this kid was napping in his bassinet alone. It was crazy. He was out of my bed. I still was getting up twice in the night to dream feed him. So I wasn't feeding him when he cried, but I had some alarms set. And this was just for the training phase. We've morphed into our regular flow now, and I actually feed him once a night now. But I'd set an alarm and I would go pick him up still sleeping, feed him, and put him back down while he was sleeping. So if he woke up in the night, we helped him get back to sleep without food. And it was really cool. So Thursday, so 6 days later, I actually left for the evening and I went to go help teach a childbirth class at our local clinic, which I love doing, but I had not done in quite a while because I couldn't leave the baby. It's a 2-hour class and it's from 5 to 7 p.m., which is the classic bad time for babies. But I was so confident already by that point that this child could fall asleep on his own without milk and I didn't have to be there. So I fed him before I left. I went to my class, My husband put him down at 6 p.m. for his nap very easily, set him down and walked out, and he fell right asleep. I came home, fed him, we put him down for bed at his later bedtime. It was awesome. And I remember driving home from that class being like, I can do this. I can do this mom thing, because with 3 babies, I'm a little overwhelmed, to be honest. This is a lot. And the baby is so needy. I forgot how much they need their mothers. And so to even be able to step away for 2 hours and be very confident that I could be back before his next feed and that someone else could put him to sleep was just such a wonderful gift. I am so grateful to Sarah for helping me to get that. And I don't know if I would be able to cope and continue to work in my business and give you guys content if I had not found a solution to this problem that I actually wasn't even aware was a real problem until I talked with her in this podcast. I would highly recommend that you go listen to that episode, because it really changed my life. And Sarah doesn't wave her magic wand and boom, it's fixed. But if you can find a way to teach your baby healthy sleeping habits, even at 6 weeks old, okay? We're not sleep training. I lost count of how many air quotes are in this video. We're not sleep training. We're just helping them to have healthy sleep habits that will serve them well for the rest of their lives. One of my favorite analogies from Sarah's book was, if someone asked you to fall asleep tonight, but they took your pillow, right? You would have to find a new way to get comfortable and find a position where you could sleep, and you would do it because you have that skill, right? So what we're really doing is helping our babies to learn that skill. And we don't expect them to self-soothe by putting them in a room and letting them cry until they figure it out. You can guide and shape healthy sleep habits from a really young age. And then hopefully when you're ready to help them sleep a little bit longer, it's a very easy transition. That's one of the things I loved about her method and her book. It's not just a one step, do it this way. It's let's shape this. And so that we can develop this into something that works for you. Very, very cool. I highly recommend her book. I was just flipping through her book to make sure I didn't miss any super important points. And I can't even tell you all the nuggets of gold that are in here. But look at this. She's got resources like this on her website as well, which is super cool. But this is an awake time chart. So it tells you, so my baby's he's 6 months right now. Maximum time between sleeps, 2.5 hours. That's very consistent with what he's doing. If he goes longer than that, he's a disaster. Daily hours of naps, 2 to 3. Also consistent with what he's doing. Typical number of naps, 3, yes. And then average daily sleep total, 14.5 hours. Okay, that sounds very actually like what he's doing right now. There's these kind of nuggets. And I didn't realize that we were keeping him up too long. We were just waiting until he was flipping exhausted and then putting him in his bouncer and being sleep. We were totally just making it up. And there's no perfect schedule. Actually, I think she did put a mock schedule in here for you guys, because I know you're going to want that. But you don't have to follow the schedule. You can make it work for you. And that's what I really loved about Sarah and her method of sleep teaching. There's a link in the description for her book and a link to her website. She has a sleep quiz. This video. She has a sleep quiz. It's super cool. You can take it and see kind of where your baby falls. It's also down in the description. If you have more questions, let me know. I'd love to chat with you. Maybe I'll do another video. Maybe we can chat over on Instagram. But I'd love to answer your questions. And so grateful that fate put her on my podcast. I can't even tell you. If you want to see some more information about this, you can go watch a video just like this over on her YouTube channel, which is super cool. But until then, I hope you find some confidence breastfeeding and some good sleep. See you next time. Can you hear the rain outside? It's Belgium. It's always raining here. I lost count of how many air quotes are in this video. Are you kidding me? Now it's hailing. See you next time.